Welcome back. My name is Birthroad, and today we're going to be ranking anime based off of their story. Now, this is just the story, so obviously I did a video already ranking anime in its entirety, all the ones that I've seen, so you guys can go check that out if you want. But this is basically just rating the plot of each anime, right? Now, again, this is in my opinion, so obviously, take it as it is. If you don't agree with it, that's fine, but no reason to throw a fit about it, it's just a cartoon at the end of the day, right? But let's get straight into it with number 56 here. So at number 56, we have The Elusive Samurai. Now, the reason this is in last, if you guys don't know, or you may know if you watched my videos before, I do genuinely think this is the worst show ever created. And the main reason is, honestly, the story. I mean, the characters, everything about this sucks. I'm not going into all that, though. But the story does suck because if you don't know, this is actually based on a true story, except the show follows nothing about the true story, and it's historically inaccurate. It's just terrible. And the story doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's terrible. It doesn't follow history, which it's based off of. There's nothing good about this story. I genuinely don't understand how people like the show. I don't understand how this ever got greenlit. The show is awful. Terrible. Anyway, let's move on to number 55. And I just want to keep in mind that just because a show does not have a good story does not make it a bad show. For example, we will get to it pretty soon, but everybody knows Dragon Ball doesn't have a real story, but it's still a good show, right? So let's continue. Number 55, Skate the Infinity. This is another bad show. I thought this show was about skating. You watch it and then you start to wonder, okay, is this show about skating? Is it about gay lovers? I'm confused what this show's about genuinely, or is it about touching kids? That's the main villain likes to do. I'm just genuinely confused what the show's about because they hardly skate half the time, so I don't even know. And then only one of them ever really skates. The show is awful. Number 54, we have Saiki K. Another show I don't like, but I wouldn't say is awful. It's just not my taste. It's just here because it doesn't really have a story, right? So yeah, pretty simple. Number 53, we have Rave Master. This story is just mad confusing. It makes no sense. I honestly don't get the story of this show whatsoever, so that's why it's down here. I would kind of classify it with Saiki K, pretty much no story. Number 52, we have Doraemon. Again, this is you're kind of just following. It's basically like SpongeBob, just something different happens every episode. There's no real story here. Number 51, we have Kill la Kill. It is here because it does have a story. It does have a direction. It's just not good. What do you mean the more clothes you take off, the more powerful you get? It's just kind of stupid. It's a bad story. I'm going to be honest. It's just not great. It's a fun little show, but the story's not that good. Number 50, we have Don Don. In my opinion, there's just no real depth to this story, and honestly, there's not much story at all. Now, to be fair, I have not finished this. I dropped it because I thought it was quite boring. But the 5 episodes I'm in, it just seems they're just exploring what ghosts and spirits are. Not a real story there. Number 49, we have Solo Leveling. This show literally has zero story. It had story for 2 episodes, which was him trying to save his mom or whatever, and that was it. The rest of it is just him becoming overpowered and fighting, which it does have its epic moments. It can be cool at times, but there's literally no story to the show whatsoever. Number 48, we have Gurren Lagann. Now, this is one people are going to get mad at, and this is one that you're going to have to listen to because it's just my opinion. Once you add mechs into any story, it becomes dumb as hell. So the beginning of the story is actually cool, and then they add mechs, and mechs just ruin stories in my opinion. They genuinely make no sense in any story, so yeah, that's personally why I don't like it. I know a lot of people like this show, and I know it's written very well, but honestly, once you bring mechs into something, for me, all that writing goes out the window because mechs are stupid. They are dumb. They literally add nothing to any story. Number 47, we have One Punch Man, or, we could call it One Frame Man. Now, again, another show that doesn't really have a main story. The biggest story in this show is honestly Garo's little thing, but Garo obviously is not the whole show. He only takes up 2 seasons, so what really is the main story? There isn't really one, so I only put it this high because Garo, I guess, has a story, but that's not the main story, so yeah, no real story here. Number 46, we have Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball, obviously, in the original Dragon Ball, it had more of a story, but as the show went on, it just doesn't have a story. It's just literally Goku and Vegeta getting stronger. That's literally all it is. Now, yeah, even the arcs don't even really have stories. Some of them do, the Goku Black one. But you think about the Majin Buu one, what is the story of that dude? Buu just showed up, and then they have to fight him. There is no story there. So, yeah, show does not really have a lot of story. It is a good show, though, but yeah, doesn't have a lot of story. Number 45, we have Baki. It does kind of have a story with Baki wanting to take out his dad, but I would, like, they don't do anything on that for majority of this show. Like, of course that's where it's at now, but like, you watch all of the original Baki, there's like not really much about his dad. Then you watch the first season of Baki Hanma, then it's just said he's gonna, you know, go after his dad or whatever. Like, there's just nothing really, I don't know, the story doesn't really go into it until it does, I guess. So like, majority of the show, there's no real story. Number 44, we have Rurouni Kenshin. Again, this is kind of, you're just following a character. I guess the story is him being a legendary swordsman, right? But even then, that's not a real story. You're kind of just following a legendary swordsman who gave up fighting. That's pretty much what it is. Number 43, we have Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Again, this is one I would say is kind of similar to Rurouni Kenshin. You're just following, it's more like a reality show. Like, you're kind of following a character in this world. Like, that was the whole point of the show, to kind of explain more about the Cyberpunk universe. And so that's pretty much what it is, right? There is, like, I guess a story that he wants to save Lucy or whatever, but that's only the story for like a few episodes, like maybe 3 episodes. I know it's only 8 episodes, but that's what I'm saying. There's not, you can't really tell a massive story in 8 episodes. So yeah, a great show. It's just, there's not a real overlying theme here. Number 42, we have Cowboy Bebop. I'd say the same thing. You're literally just following Spike and kind of learn. This is literally my 5th favorite show of all time, but I have it down here because there's not a real story, right? You kind of are just following Spike and learning about his world and what's going on with him. That's not really a story, right? That's more of just following somebody. Number 41, we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, people are going to get pissed at this, I know, because for some reason, the only people that consume like anime content online are JoJo's fans. Every time I post anything, it's always JoJo's, like always JoJo fans in the comments. But anyway, that's besides the point. It is down here because JoJo's overarching does not have a story. It just literally doesn't. Now, I was debating on breaking up the parts, but I was like, that's not fair, because then for like Dragon Ball, like the original Dragon Ball has a story, but the other ones don't, but those are all connected. So it's like, I decided not to do that just because it would get confusing. People would be like, you're not playing fair. So I'm just leaving all the shows as one show, right? So JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is all the parts, and some of the parts connect, some of them don't, other than like Family Tree. Because like, let's be honest, what does Golden Wind have to do with Josuke's part? Nothing. Like, there is no story here. But a fantastic show. It's my 2nd favorite show of all time. So yeah, if you guys are gonna get mad, I wouldn't understand why. Number 40, we have Bungo Stray Dogs. I would say it's kind of the same thing. Like, if you broke it up in the different arcs, like in JoJo's, you would find more of a purpose, but I'm not doing that because I want to keep everything fair. And so then the story becomes just detective work, and it's like, that's not a real story. Anyway, we have number 39 here. We have Boruto. Now, Boruto, his kind of goal is to basically just clean up the mess created from Naruto, right? So that's why I have it this low. It's just like, that's not really much of a story. But there is a lot of good things in Boruto, and it's really just getting started. But yeah, not like the new Boruto like manga, which I didn't want to include because I've only read like the first 5 chapters. That is like the real start of the story here. The original Boruto was just kind of cleaning up Naruto's mess. Number 38, we have Windbreaker. I just have it this low because it has a direction. Like, obviously they want to be the number 1 delinquent gang or whatever in high school or whatever. It's just super cringe. That's why it's this low. It's just very cringe story. Number 37, we have Demon Slayer. The story's just bad, I'm gonna be honest. Nothing just, I don't know, it just like doesn't feel intimidating. The story like just doesn't really get you to buy in at all. I mean, it has a direction, like Tanjiro wants to take out Muzan and like get Nezuko out from being a demon. Like, he doesn't want her to be a demon anymore or whatever, but it's like, okay, like that's literally only going to cover the last arc, because all the other stuff he's just training to get stronger, which, yes, it's still part of the story, but they don't really do, I don't know, it just, story's not that great. Number 36, we have Tsukimichi. Now, there is a clear direction in this. He wants to build his own world to kind of like spit in the face of the goddess or whatever. But this show just sucks. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's just not a good show. So yeah, that's why the story's down here, because it's like the concept is cool, but it's not executed very well at all. Number 35, we have Sword Art Online. Again, this is one where I think the concept is fantastic, just not executed well. First season, I was like, whoa, this is peak. Season 2, I was like, all right, this is good. And then season 3, I was like, yo, this, like, he's turning this into the worst show ever created. So yeah, that's my opinions on Sword Art. It starts off great and then it just goes downhill. But again, just one that's not executed well. Number 34, we have Assassination Classroom, right? And I have this here because, again, the story is, all right, we're just going to kill our teacher. Like, that's the story. But, again, it's not anything fantastic, right? I mean, that's just simple. Number 33, we have Fairy Tail. I have this here because the story of Fairy Tail, again, if you broke it up into arcs, could be different. Because, like, you go the Tower of Heaven arc, that story is beautiful. But the overarching story of Fairy Tail is to what? Just be the #1 guild, pretty much. And then it, like, kind of changes at some points. It gets confusing. But yeah, they're pretty much just trying to be the #1 guild, and that's I feel like it's not like that's just like a background task to what they do in every single arc. So yeah. All right, number 32, we have Beyblade, specifically the Metal series. I have watched the original, but I didn't feel like rating it because I just don't remember as much from that as the Metal series. I have the Metal series up here because it's obviously just Jinga wanting to become the #1 blader, right, for the most part. He wants to be the #1 blader to make his dad proud. You know, pretty straightforward. And you're going to notice so many anime, the main plot of the story is just the main character wanting to be the best. Number 31, we have Blue Exorcist. Now, this story is another good concept, one that was not executed. Well, it was executed well, but it could have been executed way better. Like, there's just parts of the story that get very confusing, but I do like how he's the son of Satan or whatever, working for the good guys. It's cool, but yeah, it's just a little confusing at times. Number 30, we have Pokemon. Now, the reason I have this so low, because the story is pretty straightforward. Again, it's Ash just wanting to be the best. But honestly, he does not really try to be the best. The fact it took him 25 years is ridiculous. Honestly, he could have been the best in Kanto. But no, he sucks. To be honest with you, he sucks. That's why it's this low. Number 29, we have Chainsaw Man. So the main story of Chainsaw Man, at least in part 1, I don't know anything about part 2, is the Bullet Devil. And I'm not going to lie, in the 12 episodes of anime, how much did they really do with the Bullet Devil? Nothing. The new movie had nothing to do with the Bullet Devil whatsoever, which is the main story. Now, I'm not saying that's bad, like this stuff's cool, but they've done nothing with the main story in quite a while. Like, we learned a little bit about it in the first 12 episodes. And like I said, I still think it's good. It's just, they're doing side quests. Like, the whole Rize arc is a side quest, right? Obviously, I haven't read ahead, so the Rize arc could tie in a lot with the Gun Devil. I have no idea. But in terms of what was just shown in the movie, nothing to do with the Gun Devil, right? So that's the main story of part 1, and we haven't really got too much of that. Anyway, number 28, I have Fate Zero. This is about the Holy Grail War. I honestly would have just liked if Fate Zero was just about Kiritsugu. If it was just about Kiritsugu's, like, life, which that would have probably rated it lower on here because, you know, it's not really a clear story, but that was way better than anything else about the Holy Grail War. And so the story of this is winning the Holy Grail War, and it was decent, but Kiritsugu's part was definitely the best. Number 27, we have One Piece. I have One Piece this low because, yes, clear direction. He wants to be king of the pirates, wants to have the One Piece, but it often veers. Again, it's kind of like what I was saying with Fairy Tail, where it's like a background quest, right? But I just think the story flows so much better in One Piece than Fairy Tail. Actually, I don't think I know. I doubt anybody would try to argue that unless if you haven't seen One Piece, because the story of One Piece definitely flows way better than the story of Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail has so many mid-arcs. And I'm not saying One Piece doesn't have any bad arcs, but they're a lot more watchable than the Fairy Tail ones, I'm going to be honest with you. So, yeah, it's basically kind of like Fairy Tails, right? But it's just a way better show than Fairy Tail. Number 26, we have Death Note. This story is absolutely fantastic until the story stops being about Kira and L, and then the story becomes awful. So that's why I have it this low, because half of it's peak, half of it's not. Number 25, we have Bleach. Bleach is another one that gets kind of confusing because it's like kind of about Ichigo, but not really. It's more about balancing the Soul Society and the real world and stuff like that. Like, that's kind of the main story of this. And I haven't got to 1,000-Year Blood War. I don't know if that would up the scale or lower it, but yeah, it ends up mainly just becoming pretty much about Ichigo, but like I said, there is still that story there of them just trying to balance the whole thing out the whole time and fulfilling the role of a prodigy, right? Like, that's like Ichigo's thing, so that's why I have it this high. Number 24, we have Golden Kamuy. This is a story that is like the biggest missed opportunity. The story of Golden Kamuy is fantastic, but it gets so confusing. That's why it's this low. Honestly, if this was done perfectly, it'd be in the top 10. I love the story of Golden Kamuy. It's just told not very well, so that is why it is here. Great story, though, just like I said, not executed well. Number 23, we have Jujutsu Kaisen. I have it up here because, again, very clear on what the goal is. The goal is to not let Sukuna come back, right? Like, that is the whole goal, is to not let Sukuna come back. And yeah, very straightforward, very simple, and that is shown in literally every episode. Every episode has something to deal with Sukuna, right? They're on top of it. It's just, there are just way better stories, right? Like, it's kind of, I don't want to say basic because there's not really many stories like JJK, but it's just not very in-depth, I guess, is what I would say. Number 22, we have My Hero Academia. Again, this is one of the ones where it's just like, I want to be the best, right? But sometimes, you know, that can be good. And in My Hero Academia's case, and I prefer it a lot more than, like, you know, like the Fairy Tail one. I want to be the best guild, or the One Piece one, because the reason with the One Piece one, it's just, they haven't done any like, they have done major things, but it just takes so long for them to do major things to get there. My Hero, Deku, the entire show is working to become a better hero, except in those episodes where they're not fighting, and I hate those, which is why it is this low, because those episodes suck, I'm gonna be honest with you. Number 21, we have Mashle. Again, same type of thing. His goal, well, he doesn't want to be the best, actually. He just wants to be a wizard to make his dad proud. I can't remember if it's make his dad proud. No, it's to save his dad's life. That's what it is. So, yeah, he just wants to be a wizard. So, yeah, he's just working hard to be a wizard, and ends up, you know, becoming pretty good. The first season, which the reason why it's not higher is because the first season, there's not really much of that development in the story. Then the second season, it really picks up into the development of the story. So that's why I have it this high. Number 20, we have GTO. Again, this is one that, like, similar to JoJo's, you could definitely split it up, because I've read some of the manga from, you know, the first part of GTO, which it's not called GTO, I don't remember what it's called necessarily, or it might be, I don't know, but he wants to be a leader of, like, this tough gang or whatever. Not even really, he just ends up becoming it, but anyway, that's besides the point. That's pretty much the main plot of the first GTO, but then obviously the anime, which is the only one I've consumed entirely, he just wants to be the greatest teacher there is. And yeah, the show just gets, not show, but the whole storyline gets confusing depending on what you read and watch. So I just went with the anime on this. He just wants to be a great teacher, which is why I put him here. He does it very well, and it's on it the entire show. Number 19, we have Yu Yu Hakusho. Again, this is him just wanting to be the spirit detective. It's similar to Mashle, but this story is just way better. It's way more in depth, if I'm going to be honest, and it is on topic the entire show, right? But again, it's just one of those ones where the story is just him wanting to become something simple, right? Like, there's no, like the story gets in depth, but, like, that's not the plot, if that makes sense. Like, it's just written very well, right? But it's a basic story of, like, hey, I just want to be one of the best, right? Number 18, we have Black Clover. Again, same thing. It's just him wanting to be the Wizard King. It's just written very well. It's just wanting to be the best, but written good. So, yeah, that's why it's up here. Now, I'm not saying the others are written bad. I'm just saying that this one's written better. And number 17, we have Naruto, because it's kind of the, I don't want to say the originator, but it kind of is the originator of all this. I want to be Hokage, and now, like, so many shows are like, I want to be this, I want to be that, and it's just basically the same thing, right? It's just a very simple story, but Naruto, I feel like, kind of started it. And it's one of the most dynamic ones where it's like, I just want to be Hokage, because, let's be honest, Naruto kind of has two main stories. Now, I'm not counting it, or else this would have been higher, but Sasuke is totally also the main story of Naruto, so, you know, I just want to say that as well. But it's really about him wanting to be Hokage. There's just so much more to it. Number 16, we have Samurai Champloo. This is when we're getting into these shows that have, like, very unique stories that are also written very well, because some of the other ones have been unique but maybe not written well, like Golden Kamuy. I think that's a fantastic story, just not written the best. And then all of these are going to be very unique and written very well. So we have Samurai Champloo, which is about finding the man who smells sunflowers, the samurai who smells of sunflowers. And I have it this low because it is unique, it is good, it is written well, but again, it's kind of similar to, like, that Cowboy Bebop, where it's like they're not really on it at times, and I feel like you're just following the characters more, but they are on it the whole time, but it just also kind of feels like background. That's why I have it this low, but still a great story. And they are on it the whole time, but like I said, sometimes they can just feel like a background task. Number 15, we have Hunter x Hunter. Now, there's two, again, this is one like JoJo's, you could definitely split up, because if you don't know, small spoilers, I'd skip ahead 15 seconds. Kurapika becomes the main character in the manga, so now you have two different goals. You have wiping out the spiders, and the anime goal, which was Gon wanting to find his father. Gon already found his father, so we already saw all of that, or whatever. He just wanted to be a hunter like his father, meet his father, and all this and that. So, yeah, I basically just have it here because wanting to meet your father, you know, like, I mean, it's interesting, unique, it's something we haven't seen, but, again, kind of simple. All right, number 14, we have Devil May Cry. Now, I have no idea about the games or anything or the previous anime. I've only seen this, and I like the story of this. The fact that we find out like Dante's from hell or whatever, and he has to reunite with his brother, and his whole goal is to keep the necklace away from the rabbit and find a way to connect it with his brother and bring peace to the overworld and the underworld, right? Like, so I think the story of the show is great. You can clearly tell it's a video game story, that I will say. I don't know how faithful it is, like I said, but you can clearly tell it is a video game story, right? So, yeah, not many anime do stuff like that, so I think it's pretty cool. Number 13, we have Attack on Titan. Now, if you know me, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Attack on Titan. I'm really not, but I will admit the story is pretty good. The reason I'm not a fan of Attack on Titan, just really quickly, I don't really like the Titans. They're kind of boring, and the first season's pretty basic, but still, the story is very unique, right? That's why I have it this high. It's very unique. It's written well. It's just something that's not really for me. That's why I personally don't like it, but I do have it this high because it's a very unique story. It has a lot of mystery to it and gets a lot of people invested in it. Number 12. We have Vinland Saga. Again, this is another one, if you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Vinland Saga because I don't like Vikings, and basically everything I just said about Attack on Titan, I could say about Vinland Saga, but it is written phenomenally well, and how often do we get to see the introspective? What's the word? Like, you get to... You're seeing inside of Thorfinn's mind, like a Viking from the past. Like, I don't think there's really any other anime like that, right? So, yeah, that's why it's this high, and it's written incredibly well, like I said. Number 11, we have The Gray Man. Now, this is just a ripoff of a show we're going to have later. I don't want to call it a ripoff because it is its own thing, but it's basically a great value version of a show we're going to talk about later. And it is a good story, but again, it's one that's not executed well. Now, I know it's this high, and for me to say it's not executed well and it being this high, that's just kind of how good this type of story is. Now, it's only one of two that I know that are like this, and the other one is way better. That's why we'll see it later, but this just isn't executed well anime-wise. Manga's probably paced way better, but the anime is paced awfully, and Season 2 is just dog shit, if I'm going to be honest. Season 1 was really good. Season 2 is honestly just dog shit, and it ruins the story because of how slow it gets, and it just becomes bad, and then they lose the plot, right? But the basic story of this is, you're finding out some family with a lot of power, right, has been purposely turning people into monsters to try to, like, not necessarily take over the world, but I'll explain it more when we get to the show that it kind of copied, because it's pretty much the same story. Anyway, number 10 here, we have Kagurabachi. This is another manga I have on here. I've read a lot of Kagurabachi. I'm not caught up, though, but I will say the story of this is fantastic. We have had stuff like similar. We've had kind of revenge stories, but he is on it the whole time. The whole time, all he wants to do is revenge the people, or avenge his dad and get all of his dad's swords back, and it's a fantastic read, and it's very unique and interesting the way he goes about this as well. And like I said, it's not something we don't really get anything like that, like someone avenging their dad and going to retrieve something that was stolen from his family. Like, there might be another anime like that I just haven't seen, but in terms of like what I've seen and read, this is the only one like that. Number 9, we have Hajime no Ippo. I know it's Ippo, my bad. Ippo is just, the reason I have it this high is because this is just a perfect representation, honestly, of that I want to be the best. But there's more to it. It's not just I want to be the best. I want to be the best me. Like, that was the difference between all the other ones. Like, Naruto's like, I want to be Hokage, right? Ippo just wants to be the best version of him, so it gets a lot more in-depth than just, like, story-wise, it gets a lot more in-depth than I want to be Hokage. Like, obviously, Naruto's a pretty in-depth show, but, like, I'm saying, like, the story in itself isn't in-depth without the characters, right? So, like, Ippo is super in-depth because it's like, I want to be the best me. That's why I have it this high. Number 8, we have Mob Psycho 100. Again, it's pretty similar. Like, I want to be the best me, but it's a little more than that. It's like, Mob doesn't feel like he's human. Like, he wants to be human, so that's why I think this is, like, a pretty good example of human emotion, and to show like we all go through struggles and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter what you're good at, what you're bad at, there's a place for you. Like, that's the real story of the show, and it's honest, it's beautiful. It really is, you know, it's warming my heart just talking about this. But let's move on to number 7, which we have Trigun. The main plot of Trigun pretty much is saving the human race, but yeah, it's kind of crazy that there's not really any other shows where the plot is saving the human race. You'd think that'd be like pretty common. There's shows where people do it, but like, that's not the main story. This is the main story of Trigun, though, and it is honestly beautiful. I would say it's saving the world, but saving himself as well, like him himself included in that. So, you know, it's just a very good story. Number 6, we have The God of High School. Now, this is one where if you've watched the anime, you're gonna be like, why the hell is it up here? The anime is shit, okay? The manhwa or webtoon or whatever it is fantastic. Like, The God of High School is literally just imagine Dragon Ball, but with, like, God tier writing. Like, no, I probably shouldn't say God tier writing, because it's not like The God of High School is like that good, but, yeah, just imagine Dragon Ball, but, like, with some actual story in it, because Dragon Ball's a good show. But imagine if Dragon Ball had a big overarching story, because that's pretty much what The God of High School is. It's very similar to Dragon Ball, except the story of it is getting Jin Mori back to his godlike status. That is the story of God of High School, basically getting him to his godlike status, and then, you know, they run into all these problems and things like that. That's pretty much the story of it. So just imagine if that was like that with Goku. Oh my god, dude, the show would be so much better. And they're on it pretty much the entire time. So, great story, fantastic story. Number 5, we have Ghost in the Shell. Now, if you haven't seen this, I'd highly recommend it. It's a movie from 1995. This is a movie about Motoko wanting to become human, pretty much. You ever heard of Detroit Become Human, the game? I could be wrong, but I'm like 90% sure it's based off this. This is like the first thing, at least to my knowledge, where it's like AI becoming human, right? And it wanting to learn emotion and become a human. Like, that is what this is about, and it's a very beautiful story. Number 4, we have Death Parade. Again, this is a story that will make you, like, really appreciate human emotion and really appreciate everything you go through, both the good and bad. And it makes you understand emotions, like, on a whole lot better of a basis. Now, the story of it is Decim pretty much has a new partner there in Chiyuki, and they are arbiters, so they decide whether you go to heaven or hell. And the story of it is basically that, deciding who goes to heaven or hell, which is, again, a very unique story, and it is just so beautifully well written. I had to put it up here. I mean, it's just so good. But number 3, we have Fire Force. Now, people, I think, are going to say, like, I'm crazy, I'm overrating it, but if you actually, like, sit down and look at the story of Fire Force, you can, like, not like Fire Force for many reasons. The story is most likely not going to be one of them. It takes such a interesting take on, like, religious facts, history, and stuff like that. Like, because everything in Fire Force, other than, like, the powers and shit and all that, like, this could have happened in history. Like, the stuff they're doing, like, they rewrite history in the show, like, using religion, all this, using religion as a weapon, right? Like, it is very real in terms of, like, how it could relate to the world potentially, right? And it's just a take on religion, which you don't see in anime much, that is honestly fantastic, and it doesn't push any buttons, right? Because it's not targeting anyone or anything. It's just honestly a very beautiful story. Number 2, we have Code Geass. Obviously, this story is fantastic. It is beautiful. It is a depiction of a rebellion against a nation. And there are probably ones like that. Like, that might happen in Kingdom. I don't know, but it's just told so well. It has to be up here. I don't care if there was 30 shows like it. This one's the best. It's going to stand out. It's story-wise, it is perfect. Now, there are some things about the show that I would maybe consider personally not perfect, but the show is definitely perfect in story-wise. And then number 1 is actually going to be the originator of the Gray Man Great Value version, or whatever I'm saying. We have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I genuinely don't think you could watch the show and say there's something wrong with the story. Now, I could see other things you maybe dislike, but the story's not one of them. There's no way you could watch the show and dislike the story. It's not possible. It's just literally not. And the story of Full Metal Alchemist is pretty much Ed and his brother, you know, they did some stuff, they did some bad things, and they want to figure out why these bad things are possible. But really, the whole goal of the show is to get his brother back to normal. And it ends up turning into something so much better, where, again, then the goal becomes stopping this evil family that has control of the government and everything, because they're trying to turn the city into a Philosopher's Stone, which is what they need. Like, it is a beautiful story. Like, genuinely, like I said, you could not watch Full Metal and tell me that this is a bad story. There's other stuff you may not like about it, but story-wise, like just looking at the plot and everything, you cannot tell me it's bad. You can't. Or you're just lying or rage-baiting. You just are. Like, it's just written so well. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe. Again, leave your comments down below. Just ask, you be respectful, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's just cartoons, bro. It's just cartoons. But yeah, I'm gonna head out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.